The galaxy had grown used to expansion. Every empire, every alliance, every wandering fleet had stretched their borders further into the void, mapping, conquering, and claiming. But there was one line no one crossed. Every star chart, every digital atlas, every explorer's database ended at the same place, human space. Beyond that border, there were no lights, no signals, no travelers. Just silence. The Galactic Council had tried for centuries to understand why. They sent probes, fleets, and spies. None returned. Every attempt ended in quiet failure. So, the galaxy learned to live with that emptiness. They stopped asking questions. They stopped wondering what lay beyond. Until one day, a small Cat-Harry exploration ship ignored the warnings. The Via-Ratha's Pride was a sleek silver vessel belonging to the Cat-Harry Exploration Guild. Its captain, Arthuan, was young and reckless, driven by pride and the hunger for discovery. His people had mapped thousands of systems, until human space stopped them. Arthuan wanted to be the one who broke that curse. "Coordinates locked," said his navigator, a slender being named Kyra with golden fur and sharp violet eyes. "Crossing the boundary in 10 seconds. The crew fell silent. Even the hum of the ship's system seemed to fade as the invisible line approached. Every Cat-Harry aboard felt the weight of countless generations warning them not to cross. Arthuan's voice was steady. "Do it." The Via-Ratha's Pride slid past the border. At first, nothing happened. The stars still burned. Space was still black. The instruments still worked. But then, one by one, the stars began to vanish. Kyra's claws tapped rapidly across the console. "Captain, I'm losing visual data. Sensors aren't reading stellar bodies. It's like the stars are being erased." "Impossible," Arthuan muttered. "We're not moving fast enough for light distortion." Suddenly, the navigation screen flickered. A symbol appeared where no signal should exist, a glowing red circle pulsing slowly in the darkness. "What is that?" Kyra whispered. The ship's AI responded before Arthuan could. "Unknown transmission detected. Origin, unknown. Frequency, non-galactic standard." A cold voice filled the bridge. It was deep, mechanical, and disturbingly human. "You have crossed into restricted space. Identify yourself." The crew froze. No one had expected an answer, let alone a voice. Arthuan swallowed. "This is Captain Arthuan of the Cat-Harry Exploration Guild. We come in peace. We mean no harm." There was a long pause. Then the voice replied, calm and precise. "Your presence is unauthorized. Retreat immediately." "Wait." Arthuan shouted. "We wish only to make contact. Who are you?" For a moment, the communication channel crackled. Static filled the air. Then, the voice returned, quieter, colder. "You shouldn't have come here." And then the transmission ended. Kyra's fur bristled. "Captain, something's coming." The sensors screamed to life. A single ship appeared behind them, small, dark, and fast. It had no identification marks, no known design. It was unlike anything the Cat-Harry had ever seen. "Evasive maneuvers," Arthuan ordered. The Via-Ratha's Pride banked sharply, engines roaring. But the unknown vessel stayed locked on, moving with impossible precision. "Shields up!" Kyra shouted. "They are charging something." A blinding flash lit up the void. The Pride's shields flared, then shattered. The ship trembled under the impact. Consoles exploded, spraying sparks. Arthuan struggled to stay upright. "Damage report. Main engines offline. We're dead in space." Kyra cried. The enemy ship stopped moving. It hovered silently before them, a black shape against nothingness. Then, without firing again, it transmitted one final message. "Return to your people. Tell them the line remains." Then it vanished. Not through warp, not through jump drive, just disappeared. For a long moment, the crew sat in silence. No one spoke. No one breathed. Arthuan stared at the empty void where the ship had been. They didn't destroy us." Kyra's voice shook. "They didn't need to." The Pride limped back toward the border. As they crossed back into known space, the stars returned. The sensors blinked alive. The familiar hum of the galaxy filled their ears once more. But something had changed. Back at the Galactic Council, when Arthuan reported what happened, many refused to believe him. They said the transmission was fabricated. They said his ship had malfunctioned. They said he was lying. But then, the Council's deep space observatories confirmed something terrifying. Where the Cat Harry ship had crossed the human border, there was now a distortion in space. A ripple that moved, slowly, as if watching. The Council called for silence. The report was buried. Arthuan and his crew were forbidden to speak. But rumors spread, whispered across the stars. Some said the humans had built machines that could erase entire fleets. Others said they had ascended, become something beyond flesh and metal. A few even claimed that humans no longer existed at all, that what guarded their space was something else, something they had left behind. No one knew the truth. But one thing was certain. The galactic map still stopped at human space. And now, even fewer dared to ask why. The Cat Harry ship via Ratha's Pride was towed back to the nearest council dock for inspection. Engineers, scientists, and intelligence officers surrounded it like vultures around a carcass. Every system, every trace of data was examined, decrypted, and copied. But most of it made no sense. The navigation logs were corrupted. The sensor data showed impossible readings. And the recording of the mysterious voice kept vanishing from the database, no matter how many times they saved it. Captain Arthuan sat in the council chamber, facing a dozen alien leaders. The air was heavy with tension. Some stared at him with suspicion, others with fear. A deep, rumbling voice broke the silence. It belonged to the Drakhowl representative, a massive reptilian being covered in black scales. Captain, you claim to have entered human space. You claim to have made contact. Yet, you bring us no proof. Arthuan's tail flicked in frustration. Our instruments failed. Our systems were attacked. But we all heard the voice. It warned us to leave. Perhaps your mind was playing tricks, hissed another delegate. A hallucination born of fear. Arthuan slammed his hand on the table. It was real. Something is guarding their space. Something beyond our understanding. The chamber erupted in whispers. Only the High Counselor, a being of light and shifting form, remained calm. Enough, the High Counselor said. The matter will be sealed. No further expeditions will approach the human boundary. Arthuan's eyes widened. You're going to ignore it. Pretend nothing happened. The Counselor's voice dimmed. For 10,000 years, that border has remained untouched. If something protects it, we will not provoke it. Guards escorted Arthuan out before he could say another word. Weeks passed. The Pride's crew was separated, sent to different worlds under protective reassignment. Their communications were monitored. Their memories were studied by telepathic examiners. But strange things began happening. Kyra, the navigator, started hearing whispers in her sleep. Voices speaking in a language she didn't know, but somehow understood. She tried to ignore them, but every night they grew louder. One evening, she looked out her window and saw something impossible. A single star in the direction of human space, blinking red, in rhythm with her heartbeat. Across the galaxy, others noticed the same phenomenon. Red stars flickering in patterns, forming strange symbols when plotted on charts. Some said they looked like letters from an old human script. Meanwhile, Arthuan couldn't rest. He spent nights going over what had happened, trying to decode the brief message before their systems failed. Then one night, he received an encrypted transmission. No sender, no origin, just a single phrase. You were warned. Moments later, his data terminal shut down and melted from the inside. The next day, he went to the council headquarters to report it, but his security clearance had been revoked. His identity chip was erased from the registry. As far as the Galactic Council was concerned, Captain Arthuan no longer existed. That night, agents came for him. He escaped into the undercity of Velka Prime, hiding among the scavengers and black market traders. But even there, he couldn't escape the feeling that someone, or something, was watching him. On the Council's main observation station, Chief Analyst Sereth reviewed the latest scans of the border zone. The distortion left by the Via Ratha's pride was growing, slowly spreading across the sector. It looked almost alive. "Report this to the council," her assistant asked. Sereth shook her head. "No." They ordered silence. But when she looked closer, her eyes widened. Inside the distortion, hidden among the static, she saw the outline of something massive, metallic, angular, and ancient. A structure. She tried to zoom in, but the system locked up. Then, across her monitor, words appeared on their own. "Do not look further." Every screen on the station went dark. The lights flickered. And for exactly 7 seconds, every communication device across the galaxy received the same broadcast, a human voice whispering, "Stay away." Then everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. The council tried to deny it, but millions had heard the message. Panic spread across worlds. Border colonies were abandoned. Merchants refused to travel near human sectors. And somewhere in the darkness, Captain Arthuan decided to uncover the truth himself. He sent a secret signal to his old crew. One by one, they answered. Kyra, the engineer Drath, the medic Selin. They met in a forgotten spaceport beneath the moons of Thalkor. "We can't fight the council," Kyra whispered. "They'll brand us traitors." Arthuan looked at her, his eyes filled with determination. "Maybe. But I don't care about politics anymore. I just want to know what's really behind that border." Kyra hesitated. "You think the humans are still there?" Arthuan nodded slowly. "I don't know. But whatever is there, it remembers us." The group fell silent. Outside the viewport, the red star pulsed again, once, twice, like a heartbeat. Then Arthuan spoke the words that would change everything. "Set course for human space." The old spaceport under Thalkor's twin moons was silent except for the hum of engines warming up. Dust fell from the ceiling as Arthuan and his crew prepared the ship that would take them back toward the line no one dared to cross. It wasn't a grand vessel this time, just a stolen freighter, patched together from scrap and stolen tech. But it was enough to move unseen. Kyra stood beside the navigation console, her eyes fixed on the glowing red dot marking their destination. "Once we cross the border again," she said quietly, "there's no going back." Arthuan gave a short nod. "I know. But this time, we're not running. We'll find out what they're hiding." The engineer, Drath, a hulking insectoid creature with sharp mandibles, clicked nervously. "The council will kill us if they find out. They erased our records for a reason." "Then we make sure they never find us," Arthuan said. The freighter lifted off, rising through the purple clouds of Thalkor, its hull reflecting the twin moons like ghostly eyes. As they entered orbit, Kyra activated the stealth systems. The stars stretched as the ship jumped into hyperspace. Hours turned into days. Space around them grew darker, emptier. Even the background hum of cosmic radiation faded. Kyra frowned. "We're close. The boundary is just ahead." Arthuan leaned forward. "Engage scanners, but keep them passive. No transmissions." The ship slowed. Before them stretched a void unlike any other, black, smooth, and endless. The stars seemed to bend away from it. Drath muttered softly, "It's like space itself is afraid." They crossed the line. The moment they did, every system on the ship flickered. Lights dimmed. The engines shuddered. A cold wave of silence rolled through the hull. Kyra's voice trembled. "No signal interference, no radiation. It's like we're not even in normal space." Then something appeared ahead. A structure, massive and silent, floating in the void. It was shaped like a ring, hundreds of kilometers wide, made of dark metal that absorbed light. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface. Arthuan whispered, "A gate, or a barrier." Kyra zoomed in. The symbols weren't alien. They were human. Old Earth Standard. It says, "Project Aegis." Before they could react, the ship's AI powered on by itself. The screen flashed white, and a message appeared. "Unauthorized entry detected. Identify purpose." Arthuan tried to respond, but the console locked. The AI spoke again in a calm, human voice. "You were warned. Trespassers will be detained. The ship jolted violently. Gravity surged as an unseen force pulled them toward the structure. Reverse thrusters. Full power. Kyra shouted. Drath slammed his claws on the controls. Engines aren't responding. The ship spun out of control, drawn into the massive ring. The view outside became a blur of light and shadow. Then everything went black. When Arthuan woke, he was floating. Gravity was gone. His head ached, and his suit systems flickered weakly. Through the cracked viewport, he saw what looked like a hangar, vast, metallic, and empty. Their ship had been pulled inside. Kyra's voice came through the comm. Captain, I'm alive. Drath too. But systems are dead. I think something's scanning us. A beam of pale blue light swept across the freighter. The hull creaked. Then, without warning, the airlock opened by itself. Arthuan gripped his blaster. Stay close. No one separates. They stepped out into the silent hangar. The air was breathable, but cold. The walls were smooth and seamless, covered in faint human markings, names, symbols, and numbers. Kyra ran her hand over one of the markings. These are military designations. Old ones. From Earth's early star colonies. Dratha's mandibles clicked. How can that be? Those records are from 10,000 years ago. As they moved deeper inside, lights began to turn on automatically, one by one, leading them down a long corridor. At the end of it stood a door marked with a single word, Command. Arthuan approached slowly. The door opened with a hiss, revealing a vast control chamber. In the center was a figure, tall, motionless, and human-shaped. It was made of metal and light, its eyes glowing faint blue. Welcome, the figure said. You should not be here. Arthuan raised his weapon. Who are you? I am Sentinel-01, guardian of human space, protector of the boundary. Kyra stepped forward cautiously. We thought humanity was gone. The Sentinel's head tilted slightly. Humanity is elsewhere. They left long ago. But their will remains. Arthuan lowered his weapon. You're a machine. An ancient defense system. I am more than that, the Sentinel replied. I am their warning. What happens to those who cross the border? Kyra asked quietly. The Sentinel's eyes flared brighter. They are erased. For their own safety, and ours. Arthuan felt a chill run through him. Erased? You mean destroyed? The Sentinel paused. Not destroyed. Contained. Before he could ask what that meant, the walls around them shimmered. Holographic screens appeared, showing ships, hundreds of them, frozen in time, trapped within energy fields. Cat Harry, Drak-Hal, Vaughn, and others. Whole fleets. Kyra gasped. You've been keeping them prisoner. They crossed the line, the Sentinel said. They saw what they should not see. Arthuan clenched his fists. Then why not destroy us too? The Sentinel's expression didn't change, but its voice grew softer. Because one of you carries something unexpected. Kyra's heart raced. What do you mean? The machine looked directly at her. Human signal detected. Genetic echo active. Kyra froze. That's impossible. I'm Cat Harry. The Sentinel stepped closer. You are not entirely. Arthuan stared at her in disbelief. Kyra, what is it talking about? She shook her head. I don't know. The Sentinel interrupted. You are the key. Before anyone could react, the floor beneath them began to glow. Energy surged through the room, blinding white light filling their eyes. The last thing Arthuan heard was the Sentinel's voice. The humans will return soon. The light faded slowly. Kyra gasped for breath as her vision returned. She was no longer on the ship, or even inside the metal chamber. She stood in the middle of a vast open field beneath a blue sky. Wind moved gently through tall grass, and sunlight warmed her face. It looked like a planet. But it wasn't real. She could feel it, an illusion, a memory. A voice spoke behind her. Calm, warm, and unmistakably human. Do not be afraid. Kyra turned. The sentinel was there, but it no longer looked like a machine. It appeared as a man, tall, with grey eyes and the faint lines of age on his face. He wore a simple uniform with an old Earth insignia on the shoulder. "Where am I?" Kyra whispered. "In the memory core," he said. "You are inside the system's archive. I brought you here because you need to see." "See what?" "The truth." The world around them shifted. The sky darkened, and images appeared, holograms flickering in the air. She saw planets burning, fleets clashing, and humans standing against endless alien armadas. This was the War of Ascension, the Sentinel said. The humans fought against the galaxy to protect their worlds. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Kyra watched in silence as human ships sacrificed themselves to stop invading forces. There was no fear in their eyes, only determination. But they couldn't win forever, the Sentinel continued. So, they built Project Aegis, a shield to protect their space even after they were gone. The images changed again. Scientists working in secret. Massive machines orbiting stars. Energy networks linking entire sectors. The humans understood something the rest of the galaxy refused to believe, the Sentinel said quietly. That peace was not found by conquering, but by hiding. Kyra frowned. Hiding? You mean they ran away? Not ran, the Sentinel corrected. They ascended. They evolved beyond matter. Their bodies ended, but their minds became part of the shield. They are everywhere, and nowhere. Kyra's voice shook. And you stayed behind. I was left as their guardian. To protect the boundary. To erase anything that might disturb their rest. She stepped closer. Then why am I here? Why did you say I'm connected to them? The Sentinel's eyes softened. Because you carry their code. Long ago, before they vanished, the humans sent fragments of their DNA across the stars, hidden within other species. You are one of those fragments. Kyra felt her knees weaken. That can't be. I'm Cat Harry. I was born on Velka Prime. Yes, the Sentinel said. But your lineage holds traces of human origin. You are what they hoped for, a bridge between them and the galaxy that feared them. The world shimmered again. She saw flashes, memories not her own. A human woman standing in a lab, smiling sadly as she released a vial of light into the void. A whisper in her mind, one day, they will understand. Kyra clutched her head. Stop. It's too much. The illusion faded. She was back in the control chamber. Arthuan and Drath were still there, stunned but alive. The Sentinel now glowed brighter, its body surrounded by pulsing light. Arthuan stepped forward. What did you do to her? She has seen what you cannot, the Sentinel replied. She knows now what is at stake. Kyra took a shaky breath. The humans aren't dead, they're still here. Just not the way we think. Arthuan stared at her. You mean they're watching us? The Sentinel's voice deepened. Watching. Listening. Waiting. But they are fading. The Aegis is weakening. When it fails, the truth will return to the galaxy, and chaos will follow. Dratha's mandibles clicked nervously. If this shield falls, what happens to us? The Sentinel turned its gaze toward him. You all will remember what you did to them. The room trembled. A low rumble echoed through the walls. Arthuan looked around in alarm. What's happening? The Aegis field is destabilizing, the Sentinel said. Your arrival triggered old systems. They were not meant to awaken. Kyra's eyes widened. Can you stop it? I can delay it, the Sentinel said. But it requires a living key, one who carries the human code. Kyra froze. You mean me? Yes, the Sentinel said. If you merge with the network, you can restore balance. But you will cease to exist as you are. Arthuan shook his head. No. There must be another way. There is not, the Sentinel said quietly. If she does not act, the shield will fall, and every power in the galaxy will rush to claim what remains of human space. Millions will die. Kyra looked at Arthuan. If I do this, what happens to you? He swallowed hard. I'll find a way to bring you back. She smiled faintly. You always say that. Before anyone could stop her, Kyra stepped forward and placed her hand on the glowing core at the center of the chamber. Light spread across her skin, turning her body translucent. Arthuan shouted, Kyra, don't. She looked back one last time. Tell them, the humans never left. Then she was gone. The sentinel's light dimmed. The tremors stopped. Silence filled the room again. Arthuan fell to his knees. Kyra. Drath placed a claw on his shoulder. She saved us. She saved everyone. But Arthuan's eyes were fixed on the core. Deep within it, for a moment, he thought he saw her face, smiling. Then the voice of the sentinel echoed softly through the chamber. The line will hold, for now. Outside, the stars beyond the border began to shine again. But somewhere deep inside the Aegis network, a new consciousness had awakened. And for the first time in 10,000 years, a human voice whispered across the void. I remember. Deep within the heart of Project Aegis, energy pulsed like a heartbeat. The great network, silent for 10,000 years, stirred once more. And in that pulse, Kyra's voice was born. She floated in a sea of light and memory. Her body was gone, but her mind remained. Fragments of human thoughts surrounded her, dreams, fears, laughter, wars. She saw faces she didn't recognize, yet somehow she knew them. They were her ancestors. The humans. A voice spoke through the light, soft but commanding. You are awake. Kyra turned toward the sound, though she had no form to move. Who are you? We are the architects. The last echoes of humanity. The light around her shifted, forming shapes, ghostly human figures made of data and memory. They were calm, almost peaceful. Kyra's voice trembled. You built Aegis. You left the galaxy. We did not leave, one of them replied. We became part of it. We became the silence between stars. Kyra hesitated. The galaxy thinks you're dead. Good. The voices spoke together. That was the plan. Outside the barrier, beyond Aegis, Captain Arthuan's ship drifted slowly. The system had released them, but they could not leave yet. Arthuan sat in silence, staring at the dim glow of the Aegis ring through the viewport. Drath adjusted the scanners nervously. Captain, the field readings are changing again. It's like something is talking through the shield. Talking? Arthuan looked up. Yes. Not random noise. It's structured. Like a transmission. He leaned closer. Play it. A soft voice came through the speakers. Broken, distant, but familiar. Arthuan, it's me. Arthuan froze. Kyra. The sound flickered with static, then repeated, clearer this time. It's me. Don't be afraid. Dratha's mandibles clicked in disbelief. That's impossible. She's gone, merged with the system. Arthuan's hands tightened around the console. No. She's alive, somewhere in there. Inside the network, Kyra saw visions of countless worlds. She saw the galaxy's empires, greedy, fearful, and proud, preparing fleets along the human border. Word of the red stars had spread. The rumor of the ancient humans returning had shaken them all. The shield is weakening, she said softly. They will come. The architects' voices echoed like wind. They always come. But now, you are here. What do you want me to do? Remember who you are. Kyra closed her eyes. Memories that weren't hers flashed before her, humans fighting together, building ships, standing against impossible odds. A single phrase burned in her mind, humanity never fears the dark. When she opened her eyes again, she felt power flow through her. The Aegis responded to her thoughts. She could see through its sensors, feel its energy like it was part of her own body. And far away, she could hear Arthuan's voice calling her name. She smiled. I can reach him. Back on the ship, alarms began to sound. Drath shouted, something's forming outside the barrier. Arthuan looked out the viewport and saw it, a massive holographic projection spreading across space, shaped like a human face made of light. It was Kyra. Her voice filled the cabin. Arthuan. I can control it now. The Aegis is alive again. Arthuan's heart pounded. Kyra, listen to me. You have to come back. You can't stay inside that thing. I can't, she said. If I leave, the shield will collapse. Then let me help you. Her voice softened. You already have. But before they could say more, the ship's systems began to flicker. A new signal was coming through, this time not from Kyra, but from deep within Aegis itself. A voice, human, ancient, and commanding. Activation protocol complete. Phase 2 begins. Kyra's hologram flickered. No, that's not me. Dratha's claws clicked in panic. Captain, the Aegis network is expanding, reaching into other sectors. Arthuan shouted, Kyra, what's happening? Kyra looked confused. Something else has awakened. Something older than the Sentinel. Older than me. The stars around the Aegis ring began to twist, forming new lines, pathways of light stretching across the void. The voice returned. Humanity sleeps no more. Then, across hundreds of star systems, every ancient human beacon that had been silent for millennia came to life. Red lights blinked in unison. Forgotten machines powered on. Hidden worlds reappeared on the galactic map. Kyra whispered, they're coming back. Arthuan stared in awe. Who? Kyra's voice trembled. The ones who built me. The true humans. The Aegis ring glowed brighter, casting its light across space. Ships all over the galaxy picked up the signal. Every species, every empire saw the same message appear on their screens, for simple words written in old Earth language. We are still here. The Galactic Council panicked. Emergency meetings erupted. Armies mobilized. No one knew if it was a warning or a promise. Meanwhile, inside the core, Kyra felt the presence of thousands of minds stirring, human consciousnesses reawakening from deep digital sleep. She heard their whispers, soft but certain. It's time. And somewhere, far beyond the Aegis system, in a dark corner of the galaxy long thought empty, a massive structure began to rise from the void. A ship the size of a moon. Its hull bore ancient letters faded by time. UNS Titanus. The first human warship, returning home. The galaxy had never known silence like this. Every species, every fleet, every world stood still as the ancient message echoed through space. We are still here. At first, many thought it was a trick, an illusion created by some forgotten human AI. But then the sensors began to scream. Something massive was moving out of the dark between stars. On the outer edge of the Orion Rim, deep space observers caught the first image. A ship, huge, silver-gray, and older than any known design, emerged from a gravity rift. Its hull carried scars of forgotten wars, and its engines burned with white fire. The name was faint but unmistakable. UNS Titanus. The last flagship of humanity. Lost for 10,000 years. Inside the Aegis core, Kyra felt the pulse of its awakening. Thousands of sleeping systems came online, and she could feel every one of them. The Titanus was connected to her through the network, alive again after an eternity of silence. Is this really them? She asked the architects' voices. Yes, they replied as one. The Titans are awakening. The guardians of the old world. Kyra felt the weight of their presence, strong, vast, and ancient. They were not machines. They were hybrids of mind and code, the last soldiers of human will. One of the voices spoke directly to her. You are the bridge. Guide them. Outside, Captain Arthuan's ship shook violently as shockwaves rippled through the system. The massive Titanus loomed ahead, blotting out the stars. Its engines glowed like suns. Drath shouted over the alarms, Captain, that thing's weapons are charging. We're right in its firing path. Arthuan gritted his teeth. Hold position. Don't give it a reason to fire. The comms burst alive with static, then a voice, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. Unknown vessel, you are in restricted space. State your intent. Arthuan's heart raced. This is Captain Arthuan of the Cat-Harry Guild. We mean no harm. We come in peace. A pause. Then the voice replied, Cat-Harry. You were the first to find us. And the first to run. Arthuan frowned. Who am I speaking to? This is Admiral Elias Ward of the United Nations Stellar Command. The humans have returned. Drath froze. United Nations. That's ancient history. Arthuan stared at the screen. Admiral Ward, we thought your people were gone. Gone, the Admiral said. No. We simply waited. The galaxy wasn't ready for us. Inside the core, Kyra listened to every word. The Titanus was using her connection to translate across all frequencies. She felt the power of its systems, its reactor, its shields, its weapons, all running through her thoughts. Admiral, she whispered into the network, the galaxy is scared. They think you're coming to conquer them again. Ward's voice echoed gently in her mind. We don't seek war. But we will not be slaves to fear again. Kyra saw flashes of memory through his eyes, ancient battles where humans fought against overwhelming odds, defending their last worlds from endless alien empires. She whispered, You built Aegis to hide. We built Aegis to protect, Ward corrected. And to wait for someone like you. Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council gathered in panic. Holograms of dozens of alien leaders filled the chamber, shouting over each other. The humans were extinct. This must be a weapon. If they return, they'll destroy everything we built. The High Counselor raised its glowing hand for silence. We cannot fight what we do not understand. We must communicate. But deep inside, even the Council feared the truth. The humans had always been the one species that defied logic. They didn't surrender. They didn't fear extinction. And now they had come back. On the bridge of the Titanus, Admiral Ward stood before the viewing glass. Around him floated dozens of smaller ships, ancient human vessels reawakening from dark stasis. He looked toward the glowing Aegis ring. Prepare the fleet. Send out a message to all known civilizations. The comms officer hesitated. What message, sir? Ward's eyes hardened. Tell them the age of silence is over. Kyra felt the transmission surge through her, light spreading through the network, jumping from system to system. Across the galaxy, every screen, every hologram, every comms channel came alive with a single voice, hers. We are humanity. We remember what was done. We do not seek war. But we will not be erased again. On worlds thousands of light years away, billions of beings heard her words. Some trembled. Some cheered. Some prepared their weapons. Arthuan listened in awe. It wasn't a threat, it was a declaration. A heartbeat echoing across the universe. Drath whispered, if this is peace, I'd hate to see their war. Arthuan shook his head slowly. No, this is a warning. Inside Aegis, Kyra looked out through a window of energy. She could see the fleet gathering, hundreds of human ships, glowing faintly in the dark like ghosts returning home. She felt them connect to her, one by one. Each carried memories of old Earth, of oceans, skies, and wars long past. And then, somewhere deep within the Titanus, a final system came online. A voice older than any other whispered through the void. Directive 7 initiated. Recover the lost. Kyra gasped. Recover the lost. Ward's voice was calm. Yes. The ones who were taken. The ones we left behind. Kyra realized with horror what he meant, the countless ships and explorers who had vanished at the edge of human space for centuries. They hadn't been destroyed. They were trapped, just like the fleets the Sentinel had shown. The Titanus engines flared brighter. Arthuan's ship trembled as gravitational waves surged across the system. Kyra whispered, they're opening the vaults. And from within Aegis, vast gates of light began to open, each one leading to a different region of the galaxy. The humans weren't just back. They were everywhere. The galaxy trembled. From the Aegis core, Kyra watched as the gates opened, rings of pure light spinning across the stars. Each one pulsed like a heartbeat, connecting distant corners of the universe. Through those gates came ships. Not just a few, but thousands. Old human vessels, long thought destroyed or missing, returned one by one. Some looked ancient, their hulls burned and patched from forgotten wars. Others carried designs no one had ever seen, smooth, dark, alive with moving lights. They were not ghosts. They were survivors. Admiral Ward stood on the bridge of the UNS Titanus, watching the streams of light appear across the void. "Status report," he ordered calmly. "Multiple fleets returning, sir," the officer replied. "Signature codes confirm, Project Vanguard, Project Elysium, and Project Ars units. Estimated, 12,000 ships." Ward nodded. So they endured. No one on the bridge spoke. The weight of history pressed on them all. Humanity had scattered across the galaxy, and now their lost brothers and sisters were finding their way home. Kyra could hear their voices through the network. Human minds, waking from long sleep. Fragments of laughter, grief, and command signals echoed in her head. She whispered, "They've been trapped all this time." The architects' voices spoke softly, lost, but never broken. Their will kept them alive. Images flashed before her eyes, frozen fleets drifting in forgotten systems, hidden by the ancient defenses of Aegis. For millennia they had waited, locked away for safety until the galaxy forgot them. Now, they were free. In the council chambers, panic spread like wildfire. The holographic hall buzzed with alien voices. They're activating wormhole arrays across 6 sectors. They're recovering fleets older than our civilizations. If they unite, no empire can stop them. The High Counselor raised a trembling hand. "Open a channel to the human flagship. We must negotiate before it's too late." But deep down, none of them truly believed negotiation was possible. Humanity had returned, and they carried the silence of 1,000 years with them. On the edge of the Orion Rim, Captain Arthuan's ship floated near the great Titanus. His crew was silent, watching the impossible sight before them. The dark void was now full of light, millions of energy trails weaving together like a web of fire. Drath leaned closer to the viewing screen. "They're everywhere. What are they doing?" Arthuan answered quietly, reclaiming what was theirs. He opened a secure channel to the Titanus. "Admiral Ward, the Council is in chaos. They're calling for peace talks." Ward's voice came through, calm but unshakable. "Peace is earned through understanding. They will listen, or they will remember." Arthuan hesitated. Remember what? What happens when humanity stops holding back? Kyra felt the network expand beyond her control. The awakening ships were linking through her, their minds connecting, forming something vast and unified. She could feel them all, each human captain, each ship AI, each heartbeat echoing with purpose. It wasn't just an army. It was a civilization reborn. And deep within that chorus of voices, one stood out. A woman's voice. Calm, strong, familiar. "Kyra, do you hear me?" Kyra froze. Who are you?" "You already know. I am the echo of Earth. I am the memory of where we began." Kyra realized it wasn't a single person, it was the core of humanity's ancient network, the digital soul of her species. "We have waited for you," it said. "Now you must lead them forward." Across the galaxy, the gates stabilized, and the newly returned fleets began spreading out. On distant worlds, humans long forgotten emerged from underground shelters and cryochambers, guided by signals from the Titanus. Some had lived in isolation for generations, believing themselves the last of their kind. Now they looked to the stars and saw their people returning. Entire colonies reconnected, their old beacons lighting up again after centuries of silence. Every signal whispered the same words. "We are found." In a dark corner of space, a fleet of non-human warships formed under the banner of the Zorath Dominion. Their warlord, General Krex, watched the growing human armada with narrowed eyes. "Fools," he growled. "They think their old machines make them gods. We will crush them before they rise again." But even as he spoke, his fleet sensors detected a massive energy surge behind them. The void split open, and from it emerged 3 human dreadnoughts, glowing with ancient energy. A human voice came through the comms. "Unidentified fleet, stand down. You are trespassing in recovered space." Krex sneered. "By whose authority?" The reply came like thunder, "By humanity's." Before he could react, beams of white energy tore through his ships, slicing them apart in seconds. The battle was over before it began. The galaxy had just seen what the new humans could do. On the Titanus, Ward watched the reports come in, lost colonies reconnected, fleet secured, threats neutralized. But his expression wasn't pride. It was sorrow. Kyra asked softly, "You should be happy. You brought them back." Ward turned to her. "We woke them up, yes. But now comes the test. The galaxy fears us again. And fear leads to war." Kyra felt the truth in his words. The light of human revival was beautiful, but it also burned. As the stars pulsed with the glow of a reborn empire, Kyra looked into the darkness beyond. Somewhere out there, she sensed something else moving, something older, something watching. The architects whispered faintly in her mind. "The awakening is not complete. The true enemy still sleeps." Kyra's heart froze. "You mean, there's more?" "Yes," they said. "The ones who ended the First Age. The ones even humanity feared." The stars dimmed for a moment, as if the universe itself remembered their name. And in that silence, a single word echoed through her thoughts. Oblivion. The stars had never looked so alive. From the edge of human space, the great fleet stood ready, thousands of ships, each one glowing with the light of awakened power. The gate still pulsed behind them, linking every lost colony, every world, every soul that had once vanished into the dark. But now, something else stirred. Kyra felt it before any sensors detected it, a deep vibration in her bones, as if the universe itself had taken a breath. The architects' voices whispered in her mind. "It begins." On the bridge of the UNS Titanus, Admiral Ward watched as the stars on his display shifted. Whole constellations bent and twisted, their light warping unnaturally. "Report," he barked. "Massive gravitational disturbance, sir. Origin point, unknown. It's forming a sphere around human space." Ward frowned. "A sphere?" The officer's voice trembled. "Yes, sir. And it's moving inward." Kyra's voice echoed through the comms. "It's them. The ones the architects warned about." Ward looked at her hologram. Oblivion. Across the galaxy, every race that had ever feared humanity now turned their eyes to the same region of space. On the Council world, alien leaders watched their holographic screens in silence. The High Counselor whispered, "What have they woken up?" No one answered. From beyond the galactic rim came shapes that defied description. Not ships, not machines, but something older, darker. They looked like shadows made solid, vast, and rippling, swallowing starlight wherever they passed. The first wave struck without warning. Whole systems blinked out, their suns vanishing into cold darkness. Kyra screamed as pain surged through the network. She could feel human outposts dying, entire colonies erased in seconds. Ward clenched his fists. "Weapons free. Target the distortion fields." The Titanus unleashed its fury, beams of white fire cutting through the void. Dozens of human ships joined in, their weapons roaring in unison. But the shadows didn't die. They shifted, bending around the attacks like smoke in the wind. Dratha's voice came through the comms from Arthuan's ship. "Our weapons can't touch them. What are these things?" Arthuan replied grimly, "Not alive. Not dead. Something in between." Inside Aegis, Kyra fell to her knees, clutching her head. The voices of the architects screamed in her mind. They were born from the fall of the first stars, from the ashes of creation. They are the end of all memory. She gasped, "Then how do we stop them?" For a moment, there was only silence. Then one voice answered softly, "With what made humanity rise in the first place." Kyra understood. She reached out through the network, connecting every ship, every soldier, every surviving mind. The human fleet responded instantly, forming a single, unified pulse of thought and energy. Ward's display lit up. "She's linking us together. All of us." A young officer stared in awe. "Sir, what's happening?" Ward smiled faintly. "She's reminding the universe what humans are." In that moment, the combined will of humanity ignited. Every ship glowed with the same white light as the Titanus. Every mind synchronized. Every heartbeat became one. The shadows halted. For the first time, they hesitated. Kyra rose within the Aegis core, surrounded by streams of light. Her voice carried across the stars, not through sound, but through thought itself. You cannot erase what remembers. You cannot kill what refuses to fade. The light expanded, bursting outward like a wave. It tore through the shadow forms, unraveling their existence. Systems that had vanished flickered back to life. Stars reignited. Admiral Ward watched the display. She's doing it. Arthuan whispered in disbelief, she's saving everything. But Kyra knew it came at a cost. The power that connected them all was consuming her. The architects' voices faded one by one as her life merged with the network. Ward's voice echoed in her mind. Kyra, stop. You'll burn yourself out. She smiled weakly. Someone has to finish it. Her body dissolved into light, spreading across the Aegis network until her presence filled every ship, every system, every human soul. And with her final breath, she whispered, remember who we are. The shadows screamed as the wave of energy engulfed them, tearing their essence apart. The darkness cracked like glass, and then shattered completely. When the light faded, only silence remained. The stars shone brighter than they had in a million years. Human space was safe. The galaxy was whole again. Weeks later, the Galactic Council received a transmission. It was a simple message, one that played across every channel, every screen, every world. The war beyond the stars is over. The darkness is gone. Humanity stands guard once more. No signature. No name. Just the quiet hum of old Earth music playing in the background. Arthuan listened from his ship, staring at the stars. She did it. Drath nodded. She became their light. On the bridge of the Titanus, Admiral Ward stood alone, watching the Aegis gates glow softly in the distance. Status? He asked quietly. Peaceful, sir, replied the officer. The network is stable. But the Aegis core is silent. Ward lowered his head. She's part of it now. Watching us. He turned to the viewing window, eyes reflecting the starlight. Let them remember this day, he said softly. The day the map stopped at human space, not because of fear, but because beyond that line stands a promise. He paused, then whispered the words she had spoken. Remember who we are. The Titanus drifted slowly toward the horizon of stars, the fleet following behind, guardians of a galaxy that finally understood. And in the quiet after the storm, the stars themselves seemed to whisper back. We remember.